I would say, and I always say, I want you guys' attitude to be connected to mine. As far as that, I want you guys to be tough like I am. So my thing is that I can't demand something that I can't give. I can't coach something that I don't have.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Today we are joined by the head boys basketball coach at Newman Smith High School, Percy Johnson. Coach Johnson has been at Newman Smith for 31 years and has been the head coach for nearly half of those. As you'll hear in this episode, Coach Johnson isn't concerned with his overall record and says that when he retires, he'll figure it out. In the 2019-2020 season, he led the Trojans to an impressive 28-0 record before losing to Dallas Kimball in playoffs. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
Go.
There he is.
All right, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can. Coach, you were giving yourself just such a, or I don't know, just didn't have a lot of confidence in your ability to get this going. You did it, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for having me.
Oh, this is an honor. I mean, I've known you for years, back from my McKinney days, and always had a lot of respect for you and how your teams play. The honor's mine.
Yeah. I must say all glory goes to God, man. That's the number one thing. I'm humbled to be on this podcast. Thank you so much.
How many years now coaching, and then how many years as a head coach?
Okay. I would say altogether, probably about a total of 25 as far as coaching. I can throw some football, baseball in there. And then as far as head coach, I started in 2007.
Okay.
I had the honor of following John Youngblood, the legend.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So you have some experience coaching baseball and football. When did you do that?
Oh man, it's well, I go back to my days where I played football in high school. Got a football scholarship, played at Albany State, HBCU,
Okay.
in Georgia. And I had the honor of the late Hamp Smith. Uh, he asked me to recruit, and would I start up a baseball program at Albany State College. I was just thrown in the fire, and I was just going, man. It was so exciting. It took a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of ups and downs as far as there. But I won't trade it for nothing. It was a good experience as far as there.
Man, I would imagine that with your background in football, you've probably had a lot of multi-sport athletes coming through, and your perspective on that is probably a lot different than mine, since the coach, I was not athletic enough for them to even ask me to play football. Not one football coach in 4 years at the Colony ever said, "Hey, what do you think about?" Not one. So how do you deal with multiple sport athletes, and how do you make it an environment for them where they thrive?
I look at as far as the individual. What are you trying to gain? By playing football, basketball. Are you committed to these sports? And that's the number one thing. I always tell kids, hey, this is your time. If you're playing football, I want you committed to football. Once that's over, okay, if it's basketball, I want you committed to basketball. I think the two go hand in hand. Collision sport, which is football, contact sport, basketball. I think football helps us out as far as developing some of the toughness with the weight training. Just getting out there and being tough.
Yeah.
as far as there. So when you bring that to the basketball court, it's just more of, hey, can I install my system with these guys? I need some tough guys in certain positions, you know.
Is there, I would imagine you do a pretty good job of cultivating a great relationship with the football coaches to where there's a lot of sharing going on, and it's not just your players or your athletes, it's everybody's, it's the school's players, both sports. What do you do to kind of make that relationship? Because you probably heard of some of the horror stories of the relationships between football and basketball coaches being bad. The kids end up being in the middle of that. What have you done to make it a good thing?
I'm a big fan of this Friday night stuff. Man, I love it. I'm serious. I love it. I can go every Friday and watch some football. And and I guess their support. Football is a hard sport, and it's a hard sport to coach, to be a coach. Them guys work 7 days a week, man.
Yeah.
And the thing is that that's all they need is a basketball coach saying, "This is my player. This is my player." As far as there, no, my thing is that to encourage that football coach to get him as tough as possible, so it makes my job easier. As far as when I bring him over to my program, as far as there, so it works hand in hand. Like I said, I've been blessed and fortunate to have Paul Resser as athletic coordinator, head football coach. Now I have Robert Boone, which, both of them guys, different styles, but hey, guess what? We work well together, and like I said, I heard of the horror stories out there,
Yeah.
but, hey, guess what? I got to make it work if I want to be successful, you know?
I love that mentality. And I think you had a great nugget there a second ago about appreciation. Like we should, we're all in the same profession, different
Mhm.
sports, but same profession, which is coaching. And there has to be an appreciation for the level of work and time they put in. And coach, that can even go towards when dance needs to have the gym
Yeah,
and you think you should have it. You know what? As important as basketball is to us, that's how important dance is to them and to
yeah,
that coach.
yeah,
I'm not telling you as somebody that has been great at that, but I
right.
think you've inspired me a little bit to have a greater appreciation for those people that are also in our profession.
Yes, yes. And that's the thing is that, you got to make it work for your program. Our thing is that, and I tell the guys, you know, yeah, the 3 hour practice and all of that stuff there, that's out the window. We got to have, efficient practices, the quality versus, hey, guess what? We got to stay here 3 hours, got to come back and do something else. No, let's take care of every second. I tell our guys, hey, guess what, man? We got to win at every practice. It's an hour and 45 minutes we got. Now, we got to win. And that's it, every day. That's how we play it, because we're not the most talented program around as far as there. I would say, blue collar workers that we have. So that's how I approach it as far as there. And I guess I get that from my parents, hard workers. I always looked at them, it was like hard work. Come on, let's work, work, work. As a teenager, I didn't want to hear that. No, no, no hard. But my thing is that, if I can instill this in my kids, I call them my kids, my athletes, as far as they just work hard every second that you're out here. We're going to get a lot out you in this hour and 45 minutes, so that's how we approach it. Now, I had to learn that as far as the years go on, the experience and that type of stuff there, the athletes today, it's a difference as far as there. So, they're much smarter as far as I would say, well, the IQ as far as there. So you got to tap into that as far as there. Now, as far as the work ethics, I think that, hey, it needs improving now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, hey, it becomes a routine. And that's what I tell them every day. This is your routine, working hard, win every day. It's a routine.
I've had a few coaches make a comment as if hard work or working hard is a skill now. Where it used to kind of just be the way. Now it's another skill, just like ball handling and shooting, that we have to help instill into them. Is that what you've seen as well?
Yes. I take it one step at a time and I start with the basics as far as there. If you was to walk in the gym and you're looking at Coach Johnson practice and you say, God, oh yeah, there's a lot of energy, but there's just basic ball handling, basic passing, fundamental shooting, form shooting, just getting up and down the floor with, three-man weave, that type of stuff there, holding kids accountable for turnovers and that type of stuff there. So we just start with the basics and, we start implementing our system as we go.
But coach, that there's a lot of brilliance in that, because as well as I do, it's not what you do, but how you do what you do that's important. You can get complicated, but if there's no effort, if there's no organization, if there's no accountability, then that's not going to help you. But so I would imagine that walking your practice, simplicity is actually like it's really hard. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard to keep things that way, but with the other pieces of culture that you bring around, I'm sure it's a great environment.
you know. Um, and I build these my program on these three things, excuse me, attitude, toughness, and caring. You know, uh, I want my kids to have that attitude when they are competing. You know, it's about, and you can control
Yeah.
that attitude. And that's the thing is that, hey, guess what? You control that attitude. Once you're on the floor, guess what? It should be all out effort as far as there. Then the toughness, that's something that, hey, guess what? We work at practice. We work at in the classroom. I still have to do our weekly progress reports. Our kids take a progress report to class, get that teacher to fill it out, and they bring it to me on that Wednesday. And that Wednesday, I'm in the middle and I just go through every progress report. And teacher puts a comment, student talkative. Okay, we got to address that, in which we call tens, meaning that, hey, guess what? From wall to wall in a minute and 13 seconds. Now, I get that comment, that's 4 tens for them. So, in other words, wow. So that puts a lot of heat on them. Failing grades, hey, guess what? You got to run. So every week they're busting their tail. Hey, man, I got to be passed. So that's another toughness
Yeah.
there that, hey, guess what? I got to be passing in the classroom. My behavior has to be on point. And then guess what? On the court, you know, we hold them accountable there, you know. But that's the little things that you'll see if you was to walk into a practice, if you hear about our program, the talk around school as far as there. Um, and that's our culture around here, around the basketball program.
Coach, we go into the third piece, which is caring. We go into that real quick.
Yeah, we always, when we circle around, I have the kids to talk about things, and some will be as just as little as far as leadership. You describe leadership, and I asked them to describe leadership because my leadership is a little different than their leadership as far as their. My leadership, the way I see it, is serving others. That's one thing I see it. They might say, well, okay, a leader is standing on top of the mountain and telling people, hey, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And so I got to find out my personnel, how do they see that? How they perceive that? And so, we'll have discussions about that. And then we'll go into, hey, guess what, Karen? Hey, man, guess what? Just go home and give your mom or your dad a hug. Like after practice today, I told the guys, hey, man, just go ahead and hug your mom and hug your dad. And the first thing they started looking at me when I say hug your dad, it's like, yeah, coach. And he's like, yeah, hug your dad, you know. So, we just try to incorporate just little things as far as they're always greeting the kids as they come in, as far as their, fist pump and, asking them about their day as far as their, and, when they see me in the hallway, it's like, hey, coach, what's going on? And, it's a fist bump. They could be down the hall, late for class. They trying to give me a fist bump, and it's just like, hey, caring about your family.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Ballogy. Manage and measure your players' skill development and increase accountability year-round utilizing the Ballogy app. Boost inter-squad competition with drills backed by the National High School Basketball Coaches Association, including a 40-shot Ballogy skills assessment. Please visit ballogy.com/teams for information on how you can provide this resource for your team. Coach, I love those three. And I want to, if you don't mind, I would like to go into each of them a little bit. So with attitude, a big thing that you said that I really agree with, believe in, is that it's their choice. You choose the attitude. Your attitude is a choice that you make, and that's independent of your feelings or what's gone on that day. And because so many times, I mean, as adults, as coaches, we can be ruled by our attitude, can be ruled by how the game last night went. But we have to make the same choice that we're asking them to make, or the girl that they said they were, or they thought they were in love with, just broke their heart. And so when they come into practice, they still have to choose to have an attitude that's going to be productive and help us to win that day. But I think, Coach, that's a great nugget that you said about choice.
Right, right. One thing is that, I tried to get into my little personal soapbox about, hey guys, there's things going on in my life as far as here. I'm not walking through this door, always happy. There's things that goes on. But my thing is that, I have an obligation to coach you guys. That's the community, the school district, your parents, they want me to coach you guys. And so my thing is that between these lines, I gotta let that go, and I gotta be focused on what's happening. Now it's a practice. It's a practice thing that, hey, guess what? Okay, guess what, coach, you all right? Hey, asking the kids when they're stretching, hey man, you all right? Is everything okay? And I feel that, hey, guess what, man, if I can just, and what I mean by touching a kid, meaning by, just asking him, what's going on today? Just patting them on the back. Just when they're doing a drill, just high fiving and, going crazy and that type of stuff there with a lot of energy. That's what I mean by touching a kid that day, because you can change, or you can help change the course of that attitude if it is solid. By just, encouraging the kid by, getting excited about something that's going on in practice today.
Coach, is that something that you've always felt or that you always done? Or is that more of a recent habit or something you've kind of over the years matured to? Because I can remember a time where as a high school player or a college player, bad attitudes weren't tolerated, but we also weren't asked maybe like why or like what's wrong or how was your day or it was more change your attitude or just get on the line. So is that something that you've grown into, or have you always been like that?
That's something as the years have gone, I have grown into. If I was to go back, that would be the one thing that I would change on this journey as far as this coaching journey. Because my thing is that, man, I was just, hey, this is how you do it, and this is the way I'm going to do it. You got to have effort. Attitude is not going to be tolerated, that type of stuff there. And then finally, it just kind of, okay, the athletes are changing. So guess what, coach? You got to change.
Yeah.
you know, it's time for you to change a little bit and get in touch with what's going on today. I don't coach the same way I did, 10 years, 15 years ago. It's a difference, and I, one thing I can tell the players come back and after the game, hey coach, you're not holding the kids accountable for this and da 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 da. The older kids, it is like, coach, I hear they don't run as much and this and that, and it's like, hey, things has changed. And the first thing they say, coach, you're getting soft.
That's
Coach.
right. They can say that you're getting soft, but in my opinion, it's just smart. It's smart
Yeah.
to, you look back 5-10 years ago, offensively and defensively, you should have some new different things. You should have different terminology. But also, you look back 5-10 years ago, as times change, as kids do change. I mean, golly, when the outside world is changing, to think that the players will remain the same for some reason. Yeah. Their parents are changing. What they're learning when they're younger is changing. Like what they see on social. We have to be, but then there's the idea, to those former players' point, there still has to be standards. There still has to be principles that you hold dear, but coach, like figuring out what really is important to you and what you really just don't care that much about. I think that's important too.
Yeah. I would say I'm still demanding, but not demeaning.
Yep.
I'm still looking for that commitment. You got to give me that commitment if you're going to be part of this team as far as there. And so, when the kids do put on that uniform, they know that, hey, I got to be committed. I know you got other obligations, but guess what? You're committed to basketball. And the communication has to be there. It has to be there with the players. I mean, it's pretty much going from 1 to 5 and saying that, hey, guess what? Y'all know about this that's taking place. We have to be here on time. We have to be there. And so that's how I approach it as far as, hey, guess what? We all in it together to help each other as far as there. So I am, demanding a lot as far as there. Is the time as far as, am I demanding a lot of the time now? No, because I know they have a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good thing to realize. And the days of the 3-hour practices, I think, how much was it more of like almost a badge of honor as a coach? Like, hey, you know what? How long did you go today? Well, we went 3 hours and 15 minutes. And thinking back too to, like, I think our practices have become more efficient, less downtime, less talking from us, more reps. And if you approach it that way, well, coach, like, you can get everything done in an hour 45, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I'm gonna tell you this. I really, like you say, have changed a great deal. I thought that I had to run the practice. You know, there were certain times that, I let the kids, hey, guess what, guys, y'all come up with some drills. And I'm still involved, as far as there. And it's like now, and so I had to take a step back. And I say, I got two brilliant, assistant coaches.
Yeah.
And, this, it happened with Coach Crawford, Coach LaRon Gary, that's at the New Frisco School. I got Coach Hurst. I got Coach Foy. these guys here, man, I'm learning so much from them guys, and especially in the off season, I'm sitting back and I'm saying to myself, okay, I used to do this drill, but it's done a different way. And wow, I can add on to that. So me stepping back is just like I'm back into the classroom, the coaching realm of things. And it's like, man, I'm enjoying this. And when they come in, they're saying, Coach, what we doing? I say, what are y'all doing? Y'all playing in practice for the rest of the off season, So I'm enjoying that part of it as far as there. And, giving them a lot of support, and still, like I said, I'm I'm all I'm in the academic realms of things and how the kids emotionally and
Yeah.
mentally feeling now, because I had missed that part when I first took over as a head coach. I was just that drill sergeant. You know, Now it's like, okay, you got to show that caring side. And the kids are, some things when I'm talking about a certain topic and they see me start to tear up and I could see their emotions start there and it's like, okay, push that in. But they get to see a different side
Yes.
of,
The
you know?
vulnerable side, which I mean,
Yeah.
I think, I was talking about this the other day with the coach that the 80s and 90s, the coaches of the day, the Bobby Knights, the guys like that wasn't a part of it. And so everybody wanted to be like them. And now, I would kind of put guys like Coach Drew,
Yeah.
Scott Drew up at like the guys now that are coming up watching them, like it's about that. It's about that connection. It's about like allowing these guys to see a more vulnerable side of us. And coach, I think it's really like again smart. Like the mental health side of for kids today is real, and to
Yeah.
try to act like it's not, you're really doing them a disservice. And so the fact that you're connecting so well with that, I think, is awesome.
Yeah. You know, there's this thing that, my mom always would tell me about, the quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And so, and I just always used to, okay, yeah, sure, whatever talking about. I didn't know. And so my thing is that when I started, noticing my kids around, and I'm saying to myself, my kids coming to practice and I am drilling them. We are grinding and they're going home. And some of my kids don't have something to eat that day.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm coming back the next day saying, come on, man, you got to get with it. What's wrong with you? And, when you sit back and then it's like, okay, let me find out. And it's like, Coach, I didn't eat. And it's like, huh? I thought that was it. Everybody went home and ate, you know? And whether it is not having the food or you just choosing not to eat, but I had to do something about that. So, what I did was I just started a table in our locker room, in our hallway. And, man, I just gathered fruits. I gathered nothing peanut butter and jelly, got to the point where, you know, my budget would allow me to buy some protein
Nice.
bars because we're lifting weights,
Yep.
you know, and if it's psychologically, let it be that way. But them guys, hey coach, you got the chocolate milk, they're looking forward to that. They're looking forward to coach. There's peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, yeah, and stuff like that. So they get excited about little things like that, and it just kind of just to kind of sit back and just see where, man, God, dog, it does change the way they approach our practice now, the way they look forward to practice, and also they run off that court to get to them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
That's right, Coach. What a great reminder right there. And when I was at McKinney with the great Wes Watson,
Oh yes.
we had players like that, and there was one particular that it happened to be peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but we realized pretty quick that this was the meal of the day. And you know what, Coach? Like we already know that as far as basketball goes, we are as coaches, we're the weird ones.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
going to ever care about it as much as we do for the most part. But
Mhm.
how in the world can we ask them to care and to act like basketball is the most important thing when they've got issues like that? Like
Yeah.
coach, like what's more important, basketball or eating?
Yeah.
Basketball or where am I staying? But if you as a coach put your
Mhm.
head in the sand and just expect for basketball to be for weights to be the most important thing, but they don't have the fuel to actually
No.
push them through. They're a car running on empty, and you want them to be a race car.
Thank you.
But
Amen
what a
on
great
that.
reminder! I mean, as a younger coach, like I just didn't think about those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's real. It's real. Here today, it's real.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one of a kind video game like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1 hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here.
We getting to that point where, okay, it's almost setting goals, but I wouldn't say goals. Let's go through your routine. What are you gonna do? And that's what I get our kids into, the routine. Okay, every day, has to be taken care of. This has to be taken care of. So, in other words, just like you get up, first thing you do, brush your teeth. Okay, when you get to school, what's the first thing that you need to do? It's got to be a routine. When you get to practice, okay, coach is telling you, hey, when you walk in the gym, either ball handling or form shooting. So when I walk through them doors, or if I'm over there sitting preparing myself for practice, that's what you should be doing. And I'm seeing a lot of guys buying into that. They just want to be taught how to do it, and held accountable for doing it too, also.
I think one of the worst things we can do is
Yeah.
assume that they know what they're
Hmm.
supposed to be doing. And
Hmm.
I love the fact that you're talking about basketball, the skilled work a little bit right there with ball handling and shooting, but the daily routine that you're teaching them, man, those are life skills. And
Yeah.
and I think, I'm coach, like I'm at a private school, a private Christian
Hmm.
school, but I have to be careful too, not just to assume that at home they're being told the right organization for their day, that there are standards, that they are be held, or are they running that show at home? Are they going home and doing whatever they want? And then all of a sudden at school, wait, you're telling me I can't wear any color socks that I want?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think obviously the more that we can partner with our parents, that's the better for the kid. But for us to assume that they've got all these things down, no matter what school they're at, I think there's some error in that.
you know yeah, and it's gaining trust. That's a good thing. Do I trust Coach Johnson, as far as there? And I feel that, I know when my kids are out there and I want to push them limits as far as there, to kind of say evaluate where I'm at with them as far as that trust factor. you know um it's like, okay, hey guys, we're gonna do this today. And it's like, oh, hey, coach. And I don't get that response. It's like, okay, let's go. And it's like, okay, we're moving in the right direction. It's like, hey guys, we got tens. Somebody didn't turn in the grade card. They didn't wear the right socks as far as practice. And that's another thing as far as there. I still have them standards at practice.
Yep.
And so during the game, it's like, okay, and I know my kids, they're sitting there. You think coach will let us wear that sleeve? Where you asking? No. You think we wear the headband? No, you asking. And I'm sitting right here, guys. I'm going asking. I mean, it's like a movie. It's like
Yeah.
I'm, on one part of the building and they on another part, but they're sitting right there saying, "No, you ask him about this." But my thing is that it is a give and take as
Yeah.
far as um I have, and I know I'm kind of jumping right
No, you're
now.
good.
I have some standards, and I'm looking at my wall.
Yep.
And it's work together, win together. And in a game, we have turnovers, assists, opponents' rebounds. If I can see that, okay, my eyes are bad. Uh, win quarters. That type of stuff there. Keeping opponents under 50.
Hmm.
That's our motivation during a game. I also have it as far as winning attitude, as far as just every day. Stay out of the strike zone. No emails from teachers. Passing classes. And I got to go to that one there. Uniforms at practice. They have to be in uniform. You know, if I issue you that uniform, you have to wear it at practice. It has to be on a clip. So them things there, I hold them accountable for. In the game, it's more of I can let you wear your own sneakers. You earn that right to, hey, if you want to wear the LeBrons or the Kyrie, that type of stuff there. One thing, they help me out because my budget is not that big, so
Yeah,
team
that's right.
shoes was wearing me
That's
out.
right. Yeah.
So I'm glad they went to the parents' budget and got
Yep.
their own shoes as far as that. But my thing is that I'm still enjoying it. The kids are responding, and the things that I have, like the win together, um, work together, winning attitude. They know that list better than I know it.
Hmm.
They come and I say, "Hey guys, y'all owe me 4 tens for such and such." They say, "Coach, okay, it says this on the list." He's like, "Yeah, yeah, you're right." But yeah, and that tells you that, hey, guess what? They can do above and beyond.
Yeah.
You can push the envelope if you're pushing it in the right direction. If you got that trust with them, that attitude is is connected. I would say, and I always say, I want you guys' attitude to be connected to mine. As far as that, I want you guys to be tough like I am. You know, um, So my thing is that I can't demand something that I can't give. I can't coach something that I don't have. And I always say, and I guess Coach Chesteen, the great Chesteen,
Uh-huh.
he was always say, he said, "Man, I'm trying to scout Johnson offense. I'm trying to scout." He said, "Man, they all over the place. They just do any and everything." And I'm saying to myself, I don't have an offense. I just tell them, get to the goal, score the basket, score the ball, score it. So we just, man, I enjoy it. I love it, man. I get so excited about, just being around basketball, as far as that. And I can do it 7 days a week. My wife, I gotta say, man, she is a true blessing
Uh,
from the good man up above, because the time that I spend away from home, and when I walk through that door, it's still a smile. It still greet me about, "How was your day? How is this going?" Da 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 da. And I'm sitting there listening, and and I don't bring my work home. But 9 times out of 10, she's at a game, and what happened here, what happened there, that type of stuff there. But other than that, we just going on about our day. I try not to bring that home because, you got to have a happy home. That's very important. You know, one thing that I do as far as, the kids know about Coach Johnson, that I'm a believer. I'm a man of faith, as far as there. That's that's all I know. That's how I was brought up as far as there is to believe in a good man up above. In that, hey, guess what? If I have a problem, besides going to, my wife, my family, that's the first person I go to, as far as there. Um, and some of the kids I can talk to about that,
Yeah,
as
that
far
was
as
going to be my
I'm here for
question
them.
is how much are you able to let them into that part of your life? Because when it is real, it's hard for it not to be known or for it to spill over. Like you can't really compartmentalize your
Mhm.
faith. Like it's just who you are. How has that been for you as far as within your program with your players being open and honest about that?
It's we do something and I call it Bible study, old school. Um, we have once a week where we have a pastor, his son, and a guy that's over fellow Christian athletes
Yep.
that comes in. And once a week, man, they are talking to the kids, you know, about their faith and all of that stuff there. We're not forcing anything on no one as far as there, because I give them that option. Hey, guess what, guys? This is going to take place as far as there. If you object to that, I say, just come and talk to me later. No one would know as far as there. It's been a great response where everybody stays in that gym. And when I peek my head in there, they're in tune to it. As far as there, we didn't had where, some of the kids are come in saying, Coach, I really enjoy this. I didn't know as far as there. And I say, well, there's a lot that I don't know either. I say, but that's why I bring in the
Yeah.
excuse me, professionals to handle that. And so it takes place in our program as far as there. And I know there's this thing about, hey, coaches, I don't lead it, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And
you
I
know,
think, Coach, sorry to, but I
no,
think that I think that's a great way to go about it, though. Like a
Mhm.
little different again, being at a Christian private school where we're kind of mandated. I mean, every day to infuse it, to talk about it, like it's just part of what we do. So it's a lot easier. But Coach Tang at KSU had a great press conference about it. He's like, I don't talk about my faith, but I just live it every day. Like I think
Oh,
they're like that. That's a
oh,
way that we can do it instead of at
yeah,
like because you have kids coming from all different types of backgrounds
yeah.
and where what's I would imagine what pushes people away. One is uh being fake,
Yeah.
saying you believe one thing but your lifestyle denies or shows another, and then
Mm.
being pushy
Yeah.
and beating people over
Yeah.
the head. And I don't know. I don't think we're necessarily called to do
Yeah.
that, but I do think we are called to live in a way that when people see you, when they
Mm.
hear you, Coach, I could hear it right now on this call.
Mm.
There's a passion, there's something different. And golly, deep down, I want to know more about that. And I
No.
think that's when those amazing doors can open up.
Yeah. Yeah. I and just kind of go with as far as what I'm coaching now, the group of kids. Um, I have four juniors and the rest sophomores and freshmen. Good group of kids, awesome group of kids. Parents amazing as far as there. Let me knock on wood. Um,
The parents are great. Oh no,
yeah,
what did I
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
do?
yeah. But my thing is that and they're eager to learn.
Yeah.
Um, I would say almost gullible where it's like, man, I can shape these guys, inform these guys, to be, the best athlete at Newman Smith, the best athlete that they can be. I can also push the envelope that, hey, guess what? You can all go to college academically, and so that's another thing that, hey, guess what? I can focus on things like that where my assistant coaches can focus on more basketball to kind of all of us just have that part. You know your job, and that's what I talk about the kids. That's what we struggled with this young group is knowing your job. What is your job? And I think as a coach, that's our duty
Mm.
to say, okay, hey, guess what? You know, don't get me wrong. There's 5 spots, okay, and everybody can't be doing the same thing. What is your job? And so, we'll do something like this. Okay, they'll come in and we'll go through our stretching and they're looking for this grueling practice. And it's like, okay, everybody get to the 5 spots. And they'll get to them 5 spots. And of course, I'm gonna talk about them 5 spots. And then I say, well, okay, guys, you can change if you want to right now to a different spot. But you're going to have to talk about as far as, the pros and cons about that spot and what the team is looking for out of you
Mm.
when you get into a game or when you at practice. And so that's been our thing as far as, kind of coaching them into that. I think we did a good job as far as last year when we got them to get on a roll where it was like, oh man, this is easy. It's like 5 games. Man, we won 5 games straight. Then it went to 10. Man, we won 10 games. Yeah, 15. It's like, oh wow, we got some here. It's a 17. And it's like, okay, and then we had that ice storm, and
Yep.
it was like, oh my God. But we got back on track. And I think the kids grew from that as far as their, hey, coach, on the off season, what do I need to work on?
Nice. Yeah.
And it's like, hey, guess what? Here's your evaluation. This is what you said you need that needs to happen. And so they have a target as far as there because it's just like me. If you tell me, hey, coach, basketball, man, I'm all over the place. This, that, da, 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 da. But now you narrow it down, coach. This is what I need you to do. This is what I need you to do. And I'm spot on. But other than that, I'm trying to do all of it in one practice.
Mm. Coach, I think you're right on the money with having those conversations with your players about their role. Like, I wonder, a question I heard that I thought was really good was to ask your players, what would it take for you to play? Like, what do you need to do to earn playing time? Because the interesting thing with that is we know as coaches that they're not all the same, that they don't
Mhm.
have the same skill, they don't have the same physical attributes,
Right.
but do they know that? So, like, let's just say you've got 1 or 2 guys that do a majority of the scoring, and you ask number 9, 10, 11, 12, hey, on the got Johnny, what do you need to do to gain or earn more playing time? If they start to say things that they're not capable, I need to score more, I need to
Mhm.
shoot better,
Mhm.
I need to do this or that, like, that's where you come in and you say, listen, like, honestly, we need you to rebound a little bit better. We need
Yeah.
you to be a better defender, be in spots and have a little bit more energy and effort. But those conversations that you have with them, I can't imagine the parent landmines
Yeah.
or player frustrations that you get to sidestep because you've been proactive and had those conversations with them.
Hmm. And I think, just getting the teammates involved as far as in them conversations,
Yeah.
to kind of say, hey, I'm going to back coach up on this as far as there because, these kids, man, I'm gonna tell you, it's amazing how they pick up on things. And so, it's, when you tell a guy, hey man, you're the one, you're the point guard, this has to take place. And then you start, asking the other kids, and they're saying, yeah, this, you need to help us out on this. You need to help us out on that. Communication, you need to talk more. You need to be more aggressive on defense.
Yeah.
And, one of the kids, I'm sitting there and I always think about that. God, that point guard is at the, he's at the top. Everybody gets to see what happens with him. And one of the kids said, well, man, we are back here. We are in the paint trying to stop, this guy. We on the wall, which we call midline, the
Yeah.
wall. We're just trying to stop that drive. And here you are, you're not putting ball pressure on the ball. And we need to see you putting ball pressure on the ball. And it's like, hold up, that's my part. But these kids they're picking it up, quickly. Now, the way, in game,
Yeah.
it's a different story. And so that's where I come with just the basics. Hey man, we're not gonna make this game complicated. It's gonna be everyday scale, everyday 2-on-2, one-on-one alley drill, guarding the ball, being aggressive, that type of stuff there. Everybody takes place. I don't care if you're 6'10" or whatever. We do something that's called, Laker drill. Picked that up from the Lakers, kind of watching their practice. And it was like they did alley drill for 45 seconds. That one person, he had to guard everybody that was coming up the floor.
Wow.
And it was like, my man from Prestonwood that plays for New York now,
Julius.
Julius, he was in that field. And I'm watching, and Kobe Bryant is just saying, hey, rookie, you better get it together. And it was like, man, it's grueling. But the kids, they kind of buy into it. And I also just have them just clapping it up during that time. And so they like that excitement, you know.
Coach,
So
that's
it's
that
different
that
things.
collective responsibility. That's what Coach K used to talk about, is when you can
Mm-hmm.
get a group of 5 or more all working together, having
Yeah,
each other's back, but more importantly too, reminding, like giving those reminders like Kobe did. I mean, when you have that at the high school level, I think you've got a special team.
yeah. And this is, I must say, and like I said, I pray all the time for these guys. It's kind of hard to kind of keep a group together this day and time in high school,
Yeah.
especially in the public school. Let's call it what it is. Um, one day they can be with you, and the next day you're looking at, hey, John is at an academy. you know. So my thing is that, and it's just like anything else, I'm going to coach as hard as I can that year I have you, because I'm not guaranteed the next year. I'm going to teach you as much basketball as I can in that one year, because I don't know where you're going to be the following year. Hopefully you'll stay. But I do think that, most people are saying, or most high school coaches, hey man, we got to almost recruit our kids. It's almost, let's just care about our kids.
Yeah.
And the thing is that if you're getting into that recruiting realm, I'm not I'm not good at that. I tried it at the
It's hard
college
to
level. I'm not good at that.
promise kids things that you really can't, you don't have the ability to promise them. That's really
Yeah,
hard. Yeah.
and it's hard. And my life not based on I gotta follow you around. And so, my thing is that when you're here, I could just love on you, teach you the things that you can take with you and use later.
Yeah. It's funny. My it's taken me longer to get to that idea because, believe it or not, even at a private school, it happens to us, especially when Most coaches will say they don't recruit, and I think for a lot of them it's true. But I haven't
Mhm.
recruited one player in 10 years that has been at Faith. One, it's hard to get into the school for one, but it's what like you. I don't want to be in that business, but
Yeah.
like I fell into the trap of after a year's over, thankful for our seniors, but then looking what's coming back and thinking, man, with these guys, like here's what we can do. And coach, 2 weeks left in the school year, and I hear this thing that this kid's at another arrival school. I'm like, but we've got these plans for next year, coach. You're right on the money. I will do my very, very best with that kid when he's at our school, and I'm going to love him,
Yes.
but I'm not going to count when
Yeah.
school is done in May. I'm excited to see who
Mhm.
God has put on the bus in the fall. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to stress. I'm not, but coach, this has taken years to get
Yeah.
this because there
Oh,
was
I know.
one summer where I
Mhm.
didn't think this isn't this is, I can't do this. I can't do it, like it. But why I guess it goes back to your why a little bit of why do
Yeah.
we actually coach? Why are we actually doing this? And kids are
Mhm.
going to make choices the same way coaches make choices to go
Yeah.
and do other things.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. You know, you know, I have, and I must say myself, I have the best job there is. I truly believe that. You know, I could do this for no money. Now, my wife might say, "Hey, guess what? You got to have some money in here." Now,
she might disagree with
yeah, he's
that.
going to disagree, but I can get up here and just coach basketball, and I mean, I can just go and motor and go and go and go. You know, some people say, "No, that's a bad thing. You got to have a balance," but I make it a balance as far as the way I coach. I have my downtime, because sometimes I can just, with my wife, I listen to her when I get home, and then she off to doing her thing, and I can just stare at the screen. I'll just play like I'm looking at ESPN and just, oh man, this is good. And then I'm ready for the next day to do some more basketball. You know what I mean? So
I think
yeah,
when you
I
love it,
just don't.
and you know what, this whole talk, one word has just been kind of popping up, and it's passion. And I think the passion that you have for the game and for working with young guys, coach, it's contagious. And I think when coaches listen to this, and what I've felt is you're kind of like, okay, you've got thermometers and you've got a thermostat. A thermometer just checks whatever temperature it is and becomes that. Thermostat set the temperature. And I think the passion that you have sets that temperature for probably your program. But as a coach, listening to you,
Mhm.
I'm gonna measure myself. Like, where do
Mhm.
I stack up? How's mine? And I think what you do is probably your assistant coaches and players, they may be coming in with a certain attitude or feeling that day, but when you come in the way you do with the passion that you have and the energy, I'm pretty sure you raise them up, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I must say that I have learned from the best. As far as their, like I say, I mentioned his name earlier. John Youngblood, young coach, upcoming coach is Jason Crawford. I mean, just watching them guys, LaRon, Gary, just watching them guys, the way they carry themselves on the court. There's other guys that, man, I used to, and I could go on and on. I used to take my principal would allow me to take my planning period and I could travel. I would go to watch Coach Mays practice. I would go watch Coach Love practice, Danny Henderson. And so, my day was, man, okay, I'm going to teach my class and then I'm gone. I'm going to sit in there, Jim. Coach Thomas at Louisville. Them guys there, man, I was sitting in practice and man, I would just pick it apart. I can bring this, to my program. I can bring that to my program. But I did this my first 4 years. I was a volunteer coach. I didn't get paid. Um, Coach Youngblood let me volunteer. Coach Duke brought me on in 1999 and he said, "Hey, would you like to volunteer?" And I'm saying to myself, "Yeah, I'll do it." And shoot, I just went on until Coach Youngblood said, "You're not getting paid for this." And it's like, well, yeah, maybe we can kind of seek and get some money. And finally, he talked to the principal. We worked it out to get some money. And the next, 2007, he was moving to South Lake and my principal, had to make a decision, and it was like, "Hey, Coach Johnson, guess what? You're the next head coach at Newman Smith." And man, it was like, okay, what do I do? Where do I start? You
Yeah.
think you're prepared for it, but it's like, okay, now where do I start? So my thing is that I was preparing myself, years before when I was going and watch these guys practice, and asking these guys questions. Could I come and sit in your practice? So, I must say it's been interesting. It's been with a lot of ups and downs, but it's been a lot of ups. I would say, I don't measure as far as too much of my wins and losses. I couldn't even tell you as far as from 2007 to now that how many wins I have total. I couldn't tell you how many losses I have. And people ask me that all the time. They say, "Coach, you need to keep up with that." I, uh, I win every day. That's my attitude. So how do you add that up, in basketball? That's my motto. Now, granted, when that day comes where I have to sit down and say, "Hey, this is it," boom, I might look back and saying, "Okay, how
Do
many
some might do
wins
some
and
math.
losses?" Yeah,
I might get the calculator out and put
who
some things
cares?
together. Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? So yeah, that's where I'm at with this basketball thing, man.
The Jamodi podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
Before I let you go, I want to do the speed round with you. So a lot of guys know you, but these are quick questions. First thing pops in your head. You ready?
Okay, let's go with
Favorite ice cream flavor?
chocolate.
Greatest shooter of all time?
Steph Curry.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Greatest basketball movie of all time?
I would say Michael Jordan movie. God,
Space Jam?
Space Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Space Jam, baby.
There you go. For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
I'm gonna go no shot clock.
Can you explain why?
I think, and then this is just me. I'm just so much, like I said, in a routine. I would have to make that change, and just like anything else, change is good, but who volunteers for change? Sometimes people don't. Now, granted, if it does come, oh, guess what? I'm going to be prepared for it, as far as that. But, as far as that, I'm good whether it is a change or not, so.
I like that. What book would you give someone?
Relentless. Yeah, by Tim
Grover.
Yeah, Tim Grover. Oh,
that's
man.
A good one.
Oh, yeah.
Your favorite place to travel?
I would say Florida.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
one.
Always one. How do you drink it?
I put a little flavor in there. I like honey, and I
Oh,
may put a little cream because I
okay.
like my honey. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Last one, coach. In basketball, who is the GOAT?
I would say in basketball now. Let's back up. As far as there, as a player, as a coach, as a who I would consider the GOAT. I'm gonna go with Coach K.
Okay. So the coaching greatest of all time is Coach K. What about what player?
Oh, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, man. Yes, hands down. MJ. You know, I still got yet to buy me a pair of his shoes. I never owned a pair of J's. Yeah, yeah. So
My
I got to
parents
get.
wouldn't buy them for me, and my wife's probably not going to let me get one. So I think I'm with you. I don't think it's happening, man.
Yeah, maybe we'll be lucky. Somebody's listening to the podcast and they'll send us. I wear size 13. You better tell them your size.
That would be the greatest moment on podcast history is you or I or both get a
Yeah,
pair of shoes in the oh man.
yeah,
Coach, I'll tell you,
yeah.
man, this has been so much fun because from afar, I've been in gyms with you. I've watched your teams play,
Mhm.
and again, I don't know if there's a guy out there that doesn't speak in a respectful way about you, the way that you coach, the way you run your program. But it's been so much fun to learn and get a little bit deeper with it. This was a blast for me, Coach.
Well, it's always a blast when you're talking to good people like yourself. And I appreciate you for considering me to be on your podcast. And, I really, really have enjoyed this moment. I didn't know what to expect, but just you have just kind of I was just so relaxed, and I got excited, and I just wanted to talk basketball, and I could keep going and going, but I got to go to a district track meet. Because most of my team is running today in the
Yeah.
district track meet.
Oh man.
But I
Well,
enjoyed it though, man. Yes, been a big fan of yours for the longest. Yeah, yeah, seriously. Yeah.
well, that's humbling and just thank you so much for sharing the game and for what you do for those young kids there. Really appreciate it, Coach.
Well, thank you so much now.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.